Do you have an upcoming presentation you have to deliver at work, for a client, or at a conference? How are you feeling about that presentation? Are you confident that you're absolutely going to crush it? Or are you a little apprehensive, nervous, or even downright scared to deliver that presentation? Well, let me assure you, there's definitely no reason to be scared, nervous, or apprehensive. Why? Because I'm about to give you a proven framework that will help you deliver your next presentation with grace, poise, and complete confidence. Hello, my name is Dwayne Huff, founder and CEO of I.N.F.L.U.E.NC.E Seminars. I've been speaking professionally since 2006, and along the way, I've taught thousands of employees, managers, and executives how to deliver professional presentations. Some of my clients include Dell Computers, Baker Hughes, Capital One Bank, Texas Instruments, and yes, NASA. Imagine for a second teaching a room full of engineers how to deliver presentations. That was probably the most difficult experience I've ever had, but also one of the most rewarding. So that you can completely crush your next presentation and every presentation after that, let's focus on 3 things you'll need to deliver an unforgettable presentation. Number 1, you'll need a solid, proven, fail-proof presentation framework. Number 2, a proven way to demolish the nervous feelings, butterflies, and stage fright. And number 3, a critical component you must include in every presentation you deliver. And by the end of this short video, you'll be equipped and empowered to completely crush your next boardroom, client, and or conference presentation. So grab a pen and paper to take some notes and let's get started. Essential element number 1, a solid, proven, fail-proof presentation framework. Now you've probably heard this if you've heard anything about delivering presentations. There's an old adage that says, tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. Well, if we're going to do that successfully, as you can see here on the screen, there needs to be 3 parts of your presentation. There needs to be an opening, there needs to be a body, and there needs to be a close. And I'm going to pull apart all 3 of these for you and let you know how to deliver them successfully and effectively. So in your opening, the first thing that you want to make sure you do before you do anything else is grab your audience's attention and interrupt their pattern. You see, just like you, everybody in your audience is going to be distracted. Their attention is going to be all over the place. They're going to be thinking about what they're going to eat for lunch, or what they just had for lunch, or what they need to do after work, or what deadlines they're facing. And they're expecting certain things from you as a presenter. The number 1 thing they're expecting, unfortunately, from you as a presenter is that you're going to be boring. Well, I'm sorry to admit it, but we have come to expect presenters who deliver in the boardroom, or many times at conferences, or even to groups of people, to be somewhat boring because they haven't been properly trained on how to deliver a presentation. And they'll start out with things like what we call a lovely bunch of words. They'll start by saying, "Hi, my name is Dwayne. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you all for coming." Well, your audience is expecting that. So if you want to get their attention and you want to interrupt their pattern, you have to do something completely different. So what do? As you've no doubtedly experienced, stories are very powerful ways to draw in your audience and keep them hanging on your every word from the very beginning of your presentations. Now, I've found from some of my mentors that there's 2 different ways that you can tell a story. You can tell it from your perspective, or you can tell it from their perspective. An example of telling it from your perspective, or in this case, my perspective, is I could say something like, the very first time that I delivered a presentation, I had a lot of great information to share, but it soon became very apparent to me that I was all over the place and I was losing my audience. That's from my perspective, or the presenter's perspective, and in your case, it would be your perspective. But what if I told it in my audience's perspective? What if I started that story this way? Imagine for a second that you're delivering your very first presentation. And you have a lot of great information. You launch in your presentation, but it soon becomes pretty obvious to you by what you're seeing in the room and what you're feeling that you're losing your audience because you're all over the place. Now see, both of those stories can be very compelling and can draw your audience in, but one of them, I'm sharing my perspective from where I'm standing delivering a presentation. And the second example, I was pulling you in and having you imagine. A very powerful way to share your story or to deliver your story. So again, stories are very powerful ways to start your presentation, engage your audience by grabbing their attention and interrupting their pattern and having them hang on each and every word. But that's not the only way. If you've ever been a part of an amazing presentation, you've also seen presenters start their presentation by asking great questions. In fact, as I started my presentation in this video, that's exactly what I did. I asked a series of questions to draw you in, and it had your mind trying to solve the problem or answer the questions in your own situation. Quotes are a great way to start off presentations because if you can resonate with your audience and make it relevant to them by sharing a quote that they've heard or one that's completely appropriate and relevant to the situation, they really pay attention. Statistics, especially if you're in a room of analytical types or people who are driven by results, by quantitative data, and by information that really makes a case for the presentation you're going to deliver. Videos in today's day and age can be very powerful. If you have a funny video, if you have a relevant video, one that you shot yourself or one that you're borrowing or one that you've got permission to use, if it's relevant and if it's appropriate, it can be a very powerful way to start your presentation. In fact, if you're delivering at a conference and you can have a self-introduction video, one that's been put together professionally that doesn't depend upon someone introducing you, but builds up your credentials and who you are, that can be a powerful hook that draws in your crowd and prepares them to hear your message. Numbers are another great way to start your presentation, especially if you're speaking about numbers that are important to or relevant to your audience. And finally, case studies. If you have examples and case studies that you can share with your clients or share with your boss or share with the executives that would really grab their attention and cause them to want to know more, that can be another powerful way to begin your presentation. Now, once you've drawn them in, grabbed their attention, interrupted their pattern, the very next thing that you'll want to do is make your presentation relevant to your audience. From a psychology standpoint, you may have drawn them in, but now they're thinking, okay, I have a lot of things on my mind. I have a lot of things on my plate. Am I in the right place? And am I going to give this my attention? So the way that you make it relevant for your audience immediately is to tell them exactly what the talk is about and how it benefits them directly. Now, once you've done this successfully, the next logical question in the minds of your audience is, okay, great. You got my attention. This is relevant to me. I want to listen. But before I do, who the heck are you to teach me or tell me or educate me on this? And so you must establish your credibility and credentials, but only as it applies to your expertise and the material that you're about to deliver. Now, for all of the analytical type personalities in your audience and those who really want to know where this is going, it's very important that the next step in the process be to set the agenda for your presentation. And this can be as simple as listing out 1, 2, at most 3 main ideas that you'll be sharing in your presentation. When you do this, you help your audience to see where you're going, what journey you're taking on, and then allow them to see a direction that you're going to take them. Now, once you've done this, it's time to jump into the body of your presentation, but it's very, very simple. As I mentioned before, you don't want to list out more than 3 major points or cover 3 major points. So really, the body of your presentation is as simple as developing, unpacking, and really diving deep into the 3 points that you mentioned when you were in your opening setting up your talk. And finally, the close of your presentation. This is the easiest piece of all because all you're going to do is restate the way that you opened your presentation, your opening presentation, and you're going to do it in past tense because now you're at the end of your presentation, wrapping it up so that the audience can take it away and do something with it that will benefit them. Don't worry, in just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how that goes. So again, your closing is nothing more than your opening in past tense. So now that you have a solid, proven, fail-proof presentation framework, it's time to put the second essential element in place. And that's number 2, a proven way to demolish the nervous feelings, butterflies, and stage fright. And the way we're going to do that is twofold. Number 1, practice. And number 2, repetition of that practice. But beware. We've probably all heard this before. In fact, finish the statement for me in your mind. Practice makes, well, unless you said permanent, you missed the mark on that one. Practice does not make perfect. It makes permanent. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Why? Which makes this so important that as you're practicing your presentation, you get feedback from somebody who's been there before you, maybe a coach, a mentor, or somebody who can give you some honest feedback, but you know it's productive and you know it's constructive. Because the last thing you want to do in the practice process is beat your ego up and make you feel worse before you step in front of the audience you're going to present to. And then number 3, and the final component to this, it's a very critical component you must include in every presentation that you deliver. It's a CTA, or what's known as a call to action. Now, why is this so important? Well, bottom line is this. Somebody told me one time, Dwayne, delivering a presentation without a call to action is like eating soup with a fork. I'll give you a second to catch that visual. So it really is this simple. If you'll take these 3 essential elements and put them into place and really take the time to prepare, to practice, and to repeat the process, pretty soon you will become very comfortable with delivering your message no matter what situation you find yourself in. So let's recap. As mentioned before, I'm going to show you how the opening of your presentation is also the close of your presentation, just in past tense. Remember when we started, I asked you if you had an upcoming presentation that you have to deliver at work, for a client, or at a conference in the near future. And I asked you how you were feeling about that presentation. Were you confident that you're absolutely going to crush it? Or are you a little apprehensive, nervous, or downright scared to deliver the presentation? Do you remember me asking that? That's exactly what I was talking about when I said use questions to draw your audience in. And then I showed you, I said there's definitely no reason to be scared, nervous, or apprehensive. And you're probably thinking in your mind, why? So I said, why? And then I resolved that by saying, I'm about to give you a proven framework that will help you deliver your next presentation with grace, poise, and complete confidence. Which was basically telling you in our framework exactly how this presentation was going to benefit you. See where I'm going? And then I established my credibility. So at the end of this presentation, here's how I would do that. Again, my name is Dwayne Huff, founder and CEO of I.N.F.L.U.E.NC.E Seminars. I've been speaking professionally since 2006. I've taught thousands of managers, employees, and executives how to deliver professional presentations. And here are some of the companies that have had the privilege and honor of working with. Today, we covered 3 essential elements you need to deliver an unforgettable presentation. Number 1, a solid, proven, fail-proof presentation framework. Number 2, a proven way to demolish the nervous feelings, butterflies, and stage fright. And number 3, a critical component you must include in every presentation you deliver. And now that I'm in the end of this presentation, here's how I would wrap that up. I would say, so now you're equipped and empowered to completely crush your next boardroom, client, and or conference presentation. And you see there, I just took my opening, put it in past tense, and delivered it as my close. And you can do the very same thing. So I hope you take great notes. Feel free to watch this over and over again, take the notes that you need, and apply this to your very next presentation. And listen, if you'd like my help preparing for your upcoming presentation, send me a message right here on this social media channel, whether it's LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching this, or give me a call or text me, and let's set up a time to talk about your goals and what you're trying to achieve in your presentation. And if I can be of service, I'd be honored to serve. Again, just send me a text or give me a call or just shoot me a message here on this platform. If you enjoyed this presentation, please feel free to share it with a colleague or a friend or someone it might help, because I know how intimidating it can be to deliver your presentations depending on the context, and I want to be here to serve you and to serve them and helping you to completely crush it. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.